Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Magic and Miracles with your host, Jennifer Schluter. And today I am with Sam Ritchie. And Sam, I would love for you to tell us a story about magic and miracles that happened in your life.
Okay, so probably the one that stands out the most is when my mum died. She had a inoperable brain tumor, and she was going through treatment, and it wasn't working. But my dad didn't want to stop the treatment. He was really hoping that she'd get better. But the day that she died, well, the day before she died, actually, it started. She told me at this time she couldn't speak. And I was about to leave and I was saying, Mum, I'm not coming tomorrow. And she's like shaking her head at me. And I said, What do you need? And I went, Do you need the toilet? She's just huffing and shaking her head. And I was like, Do you want me to come tomorrow? And she went, Yes. And she'd been non-verbal for a couple of weeks by that point. So just to say yes was a big deal. I was like, Okay, you want me here? I'll be here. So I just had a feeling at that point that she was not gonna last much longer. So I went home and I sat down with my two very little children. At the time, I think they were 4 and 5. And I said that Nanny was very poorly now and that she was gonna die. Um, because I believe that if you tell children the truth, it's not as scary as if they don't know the truth. So anyway, the next day came and I'd said to my husband, if I tell you to go, go. Do not ask any questions. Get the kids in the car and go. Well, we didn't get that far. As soon as we drove into the driveway of my parents' house, my dad was on the phone to the ambulance because my mum had had a seizure. Um, well, when I went upstairs to the bedroom where she was, and my dad was still on the phone to the ambulance, and I was not understanding quite why they were telling us to try and resuscitate her when she had an inoperable brain tumor. I couldn't get my head around that in that space. But as we sat with her, this amazing light figure came down, and it was like the whole room lit up, and there was this great big whoosh of energy and light. And I knew then that my mum had gone. But in that moment, it was so peaceful and it lasted more than the couple of seconds. In reality, it was probably only a couple of seconds, but it felt like a lot longer and it felt like such a privilege to be able to witness it. So that's probably the one that stands out personally to me is the miracle in the fact that she was able to communicate to me that she wanted me there so that I was there for my dad. And then to witness this angel take her soul was just beautiful, just beautiful. And it really was a miracle that changed everything because I'd been helping my dad look after my mum for that period of time. And at that time, it was like a real lesson to me that it doesn't matter how hard things are, I can still do it. If I can look after my mum and raise two young children at the same time, then I can do anything. And so that was a big miracle for me because probably, I've been fighting up until that point my whole life. The fact that I'm a spiritual being and I should be doing this work, and I've been hiding that for all of my life up until that point. And it was like, hang on a minute. It really opened up me to go, okay, what am I meant to do? Where am I meant to help? So, yeah, that's the biggest miracle personally.
And what would you say? Because you said you were a spiritual being all the time, and then but you never really showed it. So that moment, like, did you see things before that moment? Were you experiencing things before that moment, or hearing voices, or did you connect to the other side before that moment? Or what was it about that moment that made everything different for you, that changed everything, and that made you actually go into a different direction?
Yeah, so I've always been able to see spirit, talk to spirit. In fact, as a child, it was more like the spirit world was more real than the human world. Um, and I was terrified of people. If the doorbell rang, I hid. I was just terrified of humans. And so I'd always been in that space, but it wasn't until thought it was normal. Apparently it's not. Right? I thought everyone saw this stuff until I was about 20 and someone said, not everyone can see this. And I was like, no, had no clue. And then I started to try and shut it down. Um, not very successfully, to be fair. But it never even occurred to me that I should be diving deeper into these gifts and to these things that I naturally could do, um, because it was seemed normal and that everyone could do it. And mediums, I really don't like that word, but mediums are sort of not me. Right. I do not like the phrase psychic medium at all. And it just didn't seem to fit with me at all as being able to, for me, I see a psychic medium as someone who can call in your loved one to talk to you. And that isn't my reality. If they turn up, fab, but they don't always. So that's why I never even thought about doing this work. I went into a state agency, and if I came across any spirits, then I'd move them away. And I was always able to sell properties that no one else could sell, and I didn't really understand why until, well, only the last couple of years when I suddenly realized that I was actually space clearing, which is a natural gift I have, which is changing the energy of a property, to make the property, the positive stick out and the negative go away. And I found out about space clearing totally by accident. We'd moved into a house and I knew there was no spirits there, but it was heavy. It wasn't a comfortable place to be. In the black bedroom wasn't helping. But even
Wow.
after we painted it, yeah, even after we painted it, it still was heavy. And at that point, another miracle, because I this person walked into my life. They're no longer in my life for no other reason than they're not meant to be. Um, Walks into my life and said, "Oh, you want to space clear that?" And it was before Google and things like that, so I didn't know what it was. So I followed her instructions, which was to set my intention to clear the negative energy of the space, clap around the room, use a joss stick, and that was it. That was as far as it went at that stage. But what happened was I got all this history from the house. And it was quite freaky because it wasn't a particularly pleasant history in this particular house.
Like you got it as a
But
download, like it came to you.
it was like a film.
Yeah, okay.
So it came like a film, um, where I saw some, I won't go into it because it might trigger people, but some not very nice stuff had happened in the house. And when I excitingly told this friend what I'd seen, she was like, "You do realize people feel better when they space clear? They don't normally see anything." But like, I didn't have a clue. Right? I thought it was normal. But since then, I've always, and that was 25 years ago, I've always space cleared all the properties we've lived in. And when I started doing this work, I put it on my website thinking, it ain't going to be a big part of my business. I live in rural Spain, right? I've got to be able to get there. And then another miracle happened. A friend of mine whose holiday home I'd space cleared said, "I've got this huge problem. Can you help me? Can you space clear this house in the UK? It's got tenants in. They won't give me access. Um, and it needs essential maintenance. And it was my grandparents' house. Can you do it by a floor plan? I'm like, well, I've got no clue whether I can do that or not. But I'll give it a go. And I did. And the miracle happened. She was obviously meant to ask me, but the miracles happened as soon as I started to draw the plan out. All this information, including her grandparents' names, dropped in. And I was like, okay, probably can do this then. And then the most miraculous thing is the fact that the tenants gave her access within 24 hours. So the maintenance was scheduled within 24 hours and now it's all complete. And that it really is like, okay, so when you listen to the information and you're open to the opportunities and you trust your intuition, these miracles happen every day. Right. So the problem comes that we don't listen to our intuition. We don't listen to that nudge that's telling us to go right rather than left. We go, oh no, right's much easier path. And then if I listen to my intuition, which is telling me to go left, in my experience, it's always the easy route is always the hardest route. And you blocking yourself to the miracles when you just go, I don't know whether I can or not, but hey, let's give it a go. You're much more likely to see the miracles, I believe.
So, talk a little bit more about that, how our listeners can create more miracles in their everyday life, and talk a little bit more about what you said when you said the easy way is the hard way, usually in your experience. What does that mean?
Okay, so you know when you someone's asked you to do something and your intuition's going, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. But it's like, especially if it's a partner, right? Um, it's like, no, I really don't want to do that. But for a quiet life, I'm gonna go, yeah, okay, we'll go to that place, and then something happens or whatever. So it's just like when you do something you really don't want to do, just to keep the peace, you're blocking the miracles, in my experience. And it
Okay.
always becomes the hardest thing to do. With space clearing, I believe every single person can do it and should be doing it. And the easiest way to start, always set your intent. Well, sorry, always protect your energy, right? There's loads of information on YouTube. I've even got a meditation for protecting your energy on YouTube. Do that first. In fact, make it a habit, because when you protect your energy, you're not allowing harmful things near you and you're only allowing the positive. So it's a good practice for people to get into. I do it in the shower. I love doing it in the shower because it's like washing your hair. It becomes part of a habit and you can just put yourself in that bubble of protection and you're good to go for the day. But everyone can space clear. So start with your protection, start with setting your intention. So, for example, if you just want to enhance the positive in your house, then set that as your intention. If you're trying to sell your property, then ask for the perfect buyer coming quickly and paying a good price. Set the intention to what you want to achieve. And then you can do it very, very basically. The first time I did it, I just was using my hands, right? Clapping and joss sticks. But if you clap around a room, and try this after the podcast, if you clap around the room, you can hear the energy change. You have to really listen, but you can hear the tone change in the clapping. So you know you're shifting the energy. And then you use smoke, so joss stick or Palo Santo and sage. I use Palo Santo and sage now as well as a joss stick. I also use bells, tuning forks, and a singing bowl. But you don't have to. If you haven't got any of that, just by clapping, using either Palo Santo sage or a joss stick, that's the smoke is good enough to do it. If you've got bells, use them. If you've got singing bowls, use them. If you've got tuning forks, use them. If you haven't, doesn't matter. You will still have a positive impact on that energy. The only time you shouldn't do it is if you're scared that you might see something and that worries you, because what you're going to do is attract things to be scared about. So if you're scared, don't do it. And if you have mental health issues, right, then you need to know yourself better than I know you. So if you think it could trigger something, don't do it. But apart from that, everyone should be doing
I love that. Very good instructions. I would I would do the
it.
same. Okay, amazing. And share with us one or two stories from your house clearings of how you saw magic and miracles happening.
Okay, so one of this was an in-person one, and it was in a remote area of Spain because that's where I live. And I was doing a card reading for this woman, and she happened to mention she had a problem in the house. Dog wouldn't go in a bathroom, well, in a whole area of the house. And she was having trouble with her neighbors. She couldn't concentrate on her work. She was an artist. And she just said, "Do you think you could help me?" So I said, "Yeah, actually, I think I can." So I went over and I was like, I have to space clear that room first because it was a bathroom. If I need a wee, I can't go in there until it's space cleared. It was that bad. It's like I can't even be in there unless I've space cleared it, which was the area the dog wouldn't go into either. As I started, this spirit man turned up, and he was not a nice man. And he actually changed the physical features in my face. That had never happened to me before. I could feel my face being pulled down, but my client could see it, and it freaked her out a little bit. But what happened next was I had my angels, because I work with angels all of the time. And when I'm space clearing, they're the ones really doing the heavy lifting. I'm just the human body they need. Um, they showed themselves to me in like a paper chain silhouette of paper chain angels around me, but really bright lights. And I knew I was totally safe. Later on, the my client said, "Oh my God, it's like rays of light coming out of your eyes," which was obviously the angels. There was a particularly difficult property. Um, and the angels were literally sending their light through me. Another area of the house became physically lighter. She was like, "Oh my God, it's like someone's turned a light on in here." Um, but the best thing was after I'd space cleared it, she was able to get on with the commissions that she had and had been stuck with. The dog would go in the area of the house. All her friends commented on how much better the house was. The neighbors who had been very abusive to her started being pleasant to her and stopped having physical fights outside her front door. But she also lost weight. Since she'd moved into the house, she'd been struggling to lose weight for years, and she didn't
Wow.
change her diet or anything. And I'm not saying space clearing's the new weight loss program. It's not. It isn't. Um, but this house was just so energetically heavy. It was physically weighing her down. And to me, that is a total miracle and something that I really did not expect. The other things, yeah, but weight loss, that was to me a total miracle.
It's a great side effect to have for people
Yeah,
that have not been
exactly.
able to lose weight. That is amazing. And
Yeah.
give us another example of what space clearing has done for your clients, like some other magic and miracle moment.
Yeah, I have a client whose house had been on the market for 3 years, and she's a friend as well, actually. And she got to a point with the estate agent. She was like, "Sam, he's driving me mad. I don't want to use him anymore. Do you think you and I could, because I was an estate agent, she knew that. Do you think you and I could sell the property?" And I went, you know what, I've got time, but we're doing it my way because I'm an old school estate agent. I want the details done properly, and the first thing I'm doing is space clearing it. It's like, all right, I'll leave it to you if you're prepared to help me and that's what you want to do. I was like, yeah, that's how it's got to be done for me. And so we did a card reading because she was going through a difficult time in the property. She wasn't living there at that point. We did a card reading the day before, and there was these spirits floating about. I could see them, and I was like, okay, so tomorrow's going to be fun when I go back to Space Clear. I'm going to get loads of information here because there's all these spirits here already. I went back the next day, not one spirit there, no information, absolutely zilch came up. But she got a call the day after, very quickly after, saying from an agent that she'd asked to give a valuation but hadn't instructed, saying they had an offer for her. And she accepted the offer and a deposit was paid, and the property actually went through in 4 weeks. It was like,
Incredible.
okay, yeah, yeah. And that happens quite a lot. Depending, there's other reasons why a property might not sell, but depending on what the reason is, if it's an energetic reason, then quite often it sells extremely quickly.
That is incredible. I love it. I really love hearing that. And so, what would you say to our listeners who want to call in more magic and miracles, not only in their space or in their homes, but on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so I would say gratitude. Start with gratitude. Be really grateful for what you've got because that helps attract more things to you. And start building a relationship with your angels, whether you believe in them or not, right? Just and if you call them in by saying thank you for making this a wonderful meal, thank you for making this a fantastic day. But if you say thank you first, it's easier for them to come and help you. And if you're not feeling safe as well, you can say thank you for making me feel safe. Um, so I would build a relationship with your angels, start however it looks for you, meditating, whether that means just sitting quietly with a cup of tea first thing in the morning for 5 minutes. That's meditating if you're not listening to anything. If you're washing up without listening to any music or the TV or anything, that can be meditative as well. Gardening, anything like that. It doesn't have to be sat cross legs chanting to meditate. And just start building a relationship, however that looks for you, with the higher power, the universe, the creator, whatever you want to call it, because that really helps you to attract more miracles into your life. Also, you've got to believe you deserve them. So work on your self
Mm.
belief. Know that every single person deserves miracles, and we're human, we all make mistakes. So just let the mistakes go and know that you still deserve miracles.
I love that. And is there a miracle or some magic that you're working on in your life at the moment that you are wanting to call in?
Yeah, I'm wanting my book to make big waves because I explain about space clearing in it. It's the case studies of space clearing. And I want more people space clearing for themselves. So I believe that space clearing can change the world one property at a time. And that I'm on a mission to get the book out there so people are doing it themselves, but so that I can change the world one property at a time.
And
So
what is,
that's the miracle I'm bringing in.
I love that. And what is the name of your book and where can people find it?
Okay, it's Echoes Within Walls, and it's available from worldwide in all bookstores and all digital platforms. So you can go on Amazon worldwide and it's there.
Awesome. And how can people find you? Where can they find
Okay,
you?
yeah, I'm on most, not all, but I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. and everything's Sam Angel Guide. My website is samangelguide.com. So I should be quite easy to find.
Beautiful. And is there anything else that you wanted to mention that I haven't asked you or that you haven't gotten the chance to say about magic and miracles?
Um, no, I don't think so. I do hold space. Again, actually, that wasn't, yeah, there is. um, there was I was asked to start a spiritual circle in person. That was 3.5 years ago. I now run two in person and one online. And I believe that building a community of people as well helps us all to stay in a more positive place, which is really important to bring in miracles, especially in the world we're living in. So yeah, I've also got an online circle which I'm helping people to create the life they want and walk a slightly more spiritual path.
Amazing. And what would you say to people who want to call in more magic and miracles that they can start doing that now? Or what is a story that you want to tell that they actually believe in magic and miracles?
Okay, so start with something small. If you don't believe in magic and miracles, start with something small. Start with like a sign. So, can you show me a feather? Obviously, not in a chicken shed or something, in a random place. Or send me a coin on the street, and ask for something small and build your muscle, your trust muscle up. And if you're thinking you don't deserve them, start doing some mirror work. Now, this is super simple, really hard, right? So you look in the mirror, you look yourself in the eye, and you say, "I love you." And when you start, you'll be like, "Oh, cringe! This is horrible. It doesn't feel good at all. I don't love myself." But if you keep practicing, it becomes actually, I'm quite a good person. Actually, I do quite love myself. And then you're opening yourself up to see more miracles around you because you're prepared to accept them because you're loving yourself more.
Such great practical tips that everyone can use any day and at any point in time. Like you can do
Yep.
this wherever you are, however you feel, you can do this at any point in time. So I really hope that more people go out there, ask for the small things and do more mirror work. And Sam, thank you so much for being on the podcast, for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.